Hey, is it Nava?
Yes.
All right. So you're saying the fact that y'all are calling a slap violent is ridiculous. Would do you do you think a slap is not violent?
How is it violent?
No, no. No. Ki-
No, not in this situation. He's a man defending his wife. No, I don't think it's violent. I've seen much more violent things done,
But you
but
keep
I
saying
don't think that's violent.
more. You're saying more violent, but is it violent at all?
Yeah, it can be depending on the situation.
So you the situation was that he was on TV presenting something on stage, and another man walks up to him and slaps him across the face.
And
Is
so
that
is
not?
that all that happened in your mind? That's all that you saw happen?
No, I'm not asking about whether it's excusable violence or not. I'm asking whether it's violent at all.
Yes, sometimes it can be, not in this situation.
How do you define violence?
If he was to just walk up there and just slap him for no reason, that's violent. There was a reason. He was defending his wife.
All right.
There was a history there.
So if I, you're defining, so if he stabs someone, is that violent?
Yes.
So how do you define violence? Because the way you just defined it made it seem like it's
And
what
there's a time and a
happened.
place where you need to stab someone too. It's a time and a place for everything.
Yes, but it doesn't say it's not violent. When you say something is not violent, you're taking it out of the realm of violence completely. If
He
you're saying
lightly high-fived his face, Themis. Like that was like a light
stop,
high five to
it's
his
not funny.
face.
No, no, no. I mean that was kind of funny, but
That's what I saw.
no, no, no. I should not be laughing. We are doing principles, and this is why I need it to be principled. So if we define violence is a behavior that involved, usually now we have social justice warriors saying verbal violence, but it it, it does involve physical force intended to hurt someone.
So do you not think that Will Smith was is not a man of principle, and he was being principled by
No, no, no,
defending his
no. I'm
wife?
talking about your principled definition of violence.
I believe in violence. I'm
All
not
right.
scared of violence, so I believe in violence.
But
I
so
believe it's a
it
time
was
for
a
it.
welcome in your mind. It was a welcome violence.
Yeah, it was a welcome, lightly. Yeah, it was welcomed. He wanted to get slapped. He did. He needed to get slapped.
All right. So, but we are on the same page. Right? It was still violent though.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
all right, good,
that's
good. Because
fine.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, like if you murder someone, you still murder them, but you can say, oh, self defense, and you're like, oh yeah,
Sometimes you can. Yeah. In
yeah,
certain
yeah, yeah.
situations, you
All
can.
right, all right. So this was an overstatement that it was not violent. It was violent, but you think it's excusable violence.
Yes.
All right.
It was
We
necessary violence.
all right. So we can then debate on whether or not that's true, but I actually will add some more people in a moment. And I do appreciate you being open and willing to like adjust and understand where I'm coming from. So I appreciate you. Thank you for that. You can hang in the back for a moment and then I'll add you guys in a moment.
Okay.
Let me read through the super chat. Will this live stay up? I unfortunately cannot stay. Yeah, it will stay up. It will stay up. The slap the slap was definitely yeah, yeah, yeah. I think she was saying that we need to think about it as acceptable kind of violent, which brings me now to the next part, and I'll add them back in a moment. I think this is important now. If we are willing to say words can invoke physical action, I now have a question regarding at what point, right? And so the the thing that I want us to answer or to really think about is, are words sufficient provocation um, to cause people to act? And is adequate provocation something that should be determined by a jury, right? Because to be clear, the laws in the United States have not really cleared up this. Like, we can go through the Supreme Court over and over and over and over again. And what we will find is that it's not really clear, but it leans towards no. Words alone is not adequate provocation for violence. In fact, the gentleman who got called the N word in Florida plead guilty, had a plea deal. It was a lesser sentencing, but he was still sentenced because the guy called him the N word and he punched him in the face, and that was not enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to try to go through this case and try to figure out whether or not Will Smith um, should have hit Chris Rock, and why. And what does that mean broadly in terms of how we interact with people? If we're willing to say words should mean that you get to hit someone, does that ultimately chill speech? In my opinion, it does, right? Does it chill speech and make people less willing to engage in meaningful discourse and potential disagreement and open opportunities for us to grow as humanity? Or does it make people tighten up in terms of what they say, and they're more careful of the words they use, because now words have consequence. Your words have meaning and consequence to it. So I'm going to add some of the people in the back, and then we can talk about it. There's no way physical violence is acceptable